Andrea DelZotto, and welcome to Tridel's Leadership Updates and Dialogues. At Tridel, we are 85 years young. And with that type of experience, you certainly see a lot of change. One of the changes that we've seen is the enhancement in our governance as we expand our team, our strategies, and our company. It's an essential step as we move forward and we strive to reach our full potential. Last year, we welcomed Patricia Koval to the boards of certain companies within the Tridel Group, an independent director that brings her tremendous experience and strength. Welcome, Pat. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks, Andrea. Happy to be here.
You have an incredible career experience that's led you to where you are. Tell us a little bit about your journey, because I'm sure that my intro of you could never do it justice.
Sure, happy to. Well, I have a background in economics, business administration, and law, and I decided quite early on to forge a career path in corporate law. I joined Torys LLP, which is a large law firm based here in Canada, based in Toronto, and I spent 35 wonderful years with Torys, where I ultimately became a senior partner. My legal practice focused on corporate law, capital markets, corporate finance, corporate governance, and mergers and acquisitions. I was fortunate to work with companies at all levels of their growth and in all different types of industries. So I worked with companies who were startups all the way to companies who were Fortune 500 companies. And along the way, I spent a lot of time advising boards, board committees, and management on a wide variety of strategic issues and shareholder issues. Early in the 90s, when the Canadian real estate industry was in the doldrums, I was fortunate enough to lead the legal teams that helped many of those companies to reinvent themselves. And in that journey, I was really, really fortunate to lead the legal team that helped create the Canadian REIT structure. So as a result, through the course of my career, I worked with virtually every Canadian REIT in some capacity or other. But as my corporate journey was progressing, I also got involved in social and community issues. And so in addition to advising boards, I actually joined boards of nonprofit companies. I was on many different boards over the years, and ultimately I chaired a few of them, including World Wildlife Fund. Today, I've continued my board career. I'm on, again, a number of boards. On the pure business side, I'm on the board of Trans Mountain Corporation, which is frequently in the news, as well as the board of the Independent Electricity System Operator here in Ontario, which is responsible for keeping our lights on. I also sit on the Ontario Government's Advisory Panel on Climate Change. I chair the board of Toronto and Region Conservation Foundation, which works with TRCA, and I'm the vice chair-elect of Nature Conservancy of Canada's Ontario board.
Well, we are fortunate that you have such tremendous capacity and that you had room for us. So thank you for spreading the love. And there's obviously some synergies because everything is so interconnected, and some of the boards that you're on, I can see that there would be relevant topics of discussion that you could apply to different areas where you are participating. I also, I heard you during the downturns as well, but I'm sure being a director during a pandemic has its set of challenges and opportunities to add a new level of insight and oversight. So you must be busy, and we know that governance is really critical, perhaps more than ever now. But it's a relatively new topic for some people. So I'd like you to explain what you define as good governance and the true value that it can bring to an organization.
Sure. Well, let me start by actually talking about what governance is. Every company, whether it's a business company, a nonprofit, or a charity, is set up under a framework under which its business and affairs are managed by a board of directors. The board, of course, appoints specific individuals, management, to do the day-to-day workings of the company, but overall, the board has to exercise an oversight function. And what do I mean by that? Well, oversight of the company's strategy and business model, and strategy for the short term, the medium term, and the long term. Oversight of the way a company identifies its risks and mitigates them. Oversight of opportunities that may come the way of the company. Oversight of the company's financial strength and its performance. And of course, ultimately, oversight of the way the company reports to and communicates with its stakeholders. In Canada, boards are subject to a duty to conduct their oversight and to make their decisions with a view to the best interests of the corporation. And that means, in short, looking at all of the stakeholders of the corporation when making decisions. And those include, of course, the shareholders, but also the employees, the company's suppliers, the company's consumers or end users of its products, governments, and the environment. So to me, good governance happens when boards of directors first and foremost understand what their job is, and then put processes and practices in place so that they can exercise their obligations and perform their duties to the best of their abilities. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, good governance is what leads the company to succeed in continuing to deliver value to its stakeholders, both now and in the future.
You explain it so well, easy to understand, and yeah, it's a enormous job, but you said it very succinctly and clearly. So thank you. And for those curious, of course, we have always had a board, but it's been an internal board, and that's the value in having some external directors on board, such as Pat, and really bringing a professional lens and expertise to it. So I did take some board courses, Pat, and if you take anything away with you from this session, even further succinctly to what you said, what I recall is nose in, fingers out. Correct?
That's absolutely right. And it's really important for people who want to join boards to understand that. There is a big difference between the role of the board and the role of management.
Well, thank you for leading in. My next question really was about those who are interested in participating on boards outside of their own company, and really where they'd start. It seems a bit intimidating at first, perhaps, but you have a lot of experience. But if you can go back to the very first and where you might want to start looking.
Sure. Well, first thing I would say is that some people, of course, are fortunate enough to work with boards in their day jobs. As a corporate lawyer, I spent my life working with boards. Other people in their day jobs report directly to boards, so they have a sense of what boards do and how they go about it. So anybody who wants to get on a board, the first thing you need to do is make sure you understand that. And Andrea, you just mentioned courses, and I can't speak highly enough of the idea of people who want to be on boards looking to take courses to help them in that journey. And I'm going to make a shameless plug for the courses that the Institute for Corporate Directors offers, because I'm on the Ontario Executive of ICD, and we create not only courses, basic courses for those who want to join boards, but also continuing education. So understand what a board is, get yourself educated, whether through courses or self-learning. And then there are really two questions that you have to ask yourself if you want to join a board. And the first is, why do I want to join the board? And then, why would the board want me as a member? So on the first question, the answer really should be that I want to join because I'm really interested in making a difference. I'm really interested in adding value. And to the second question, it's a little bit tougher to answer, but really you have to ask yourself, what experience and what skill sets do I have that others will see that I can add value to a board? And for people who haven't served on boards before, I can't recommend highly enough the idea of trying to make your first board a nonprofit board. You can become a volunteer to a nonprofit organization that you deeply care, where you deeply care about the mission. And that way you get to see how the organization functions, what the board does, who the board members are, how their committees work. And as a volunteer, you can make your interests known to both the board directors and management that you would like to join that board. And I really feel that nonprofit boards are great learning because you have all the challenges of a business corporation board, but then nonprofits also face other challenges. So all in all, it's great on-the-job training.
Yeah, I can personally attest to that. I did join, first of all, I did take some courses, so I don't mind the plug because they were fabulous and they were through that. But I also did join some nonprofit boards as my first board experience. And I was a little bit nervous and I didn't feel 100% ready, but I was, but I continued to learn a great deal. Even in a nonprofit situation, some of the best practices that they had, I even brought with me as learning to our board. So don't be afraid, I would say, to try to pursue something like that, because if you wait till you're 100% ready, you'll never go for it. So I think just pursue it, and you'll be surprised, and it will give you the experience that you're looking for.
Exactly. And there's some other ways in addition to networking, which is always the best way, I think, to get on a board. There are some board match services that can help people. ICD, for example, for those who join ICD, there's a board match register in which companies will provide opportunities and then match candidates who indicate an interest through the register. There are also some other services like Diverse City, which got put together by the Toronto City Summit Alliance, now Civic Action Alliance. And again, you can put your name forward, set out the kinds of boards you're interested in, what your experience and your skill sets are, and hopefully get a match as a result of that.
Right. And I think really, well-functioning boards, they do have a skill set matrix. So you're not redundant. You're bringing something and contributing in a way that's something you have expertise in. Everybody has some level of expertise in something. So there'll be a match somehow. Someone will have a gap that you may be able to fill. And it's interesting because I also took a Women on Boards course, and sadly, I mean, there's that famous statistic or quote that there's more men on boards named John than there are women overall. So one thing that Pat, you and I have in common is that we are the first women on some of the Tridel Group company boards. So is that changing at all, would you say, what you're seeing in terms of women participating on boards?
Well, I think certainly there's a lot of impetus for change. We've got company law statutes are changing to encourage diversity. You've got securities regulators, financial regulators, and consumer groups pushing to have more women on boards. The Toronto Stock Exchange has an initiative to encourage women to sit on boards. And actually, for people who are interested in sitting on boards of Crown corporations, the federal government and the Ontario government are pretty much focused on having 50% participation. So it is changing. It is changing over time. And certainly, there are a lot of studies out there that really support the value of having women on boards. We bring a diverse perspective.
Yes, it's 100% on merit. It's not just, to place a token female there. It's on merit, and I do think the research shows that there's tremendous contributions from having that diversity of perspective. So, International Women's Day is around the corner. I can't think of someone better to have brought awareness to than yourself with all of your amazing accomplishments. So it's been really inspirational. I was really excited to bring you on to Leadership Updates and Dialogue. So thank you for being with us today.
Thanks. It's been my pleasure.
Yes. I do want to mention that in celebration of International Women's Day on March 8th, where we celebrate the achievements of women and continue the conversation about creating a culture of inclusivity. Ruth Bader Ginsburg said it best: women belong in all places where decisions are being made. To all of you, I encourage you to build those places. And to the women, I encourage you to reach for and to be in those places. I also encourage you to join the international campaign, #ChooseToChallenge. Challenge the stigma, challenge the stereotype, and challenge the assumptions about women and about belonging, because we do, and we are all the better because of it. Happy International Women's Day. Thanks for watching, and join us next time for more dialogue and more insights. Thank you.